honest views, like if someone did just the coding blocks goes and nothing, so how much are the chances for them to clear this particular process like you did?
They would see out of like the 5 questions they asked me, four of the questions are something I remember from coding blog, and I can till date like know how he explained, Pradeep sir explained.
Hello, welcome everyone to this YouTube stream where I would be telling you what all things are required. So, myself Karthik Mathur from Coding Blocks, and today I have with me Sahithi. So, I welcome you, Sahithi, to the Coding Blocks YouTube channel.
Hi, thank you so much.
Okay. So, Sahithi, first of all, I'd like to know when you started your Btech journey, there is one doubt which obviously every student have in their mind is do we have to start practicing coding right away from our first year, or should we wait till the time of internship comes? So how was your coding journey when you started to code? So I'd like to know about that.
Yeah. So most importantly, coding is very important, and you should start it as soon as possible. Even though you don't have any prior computer language experience or anything like that, you should like quickly get the required knowledge and start off with one language which you are comfortable with, and start your DSA prep right away. That's something I tell my juniors also. But yeah, I started mine around in my second semester of university. And from then, like I took it very. I did not have any computer language experience. Like I did not have any computer science courses in my 12th also. So I started afresh from university. And by the time I learned the languages I needed, I learned C++, Python, and during the summer break of 12th, and before coming into college, I also took a C course. So that was kind of like the foundation stepping stone to university. But after that, like during like my first year, I mostly explored the various options out there. I did some web development, I did some basic machine learning courses and all of that, and tried to kind of find where my interest lies. And then I did some introductory Python courses. Trust me, it sounds a little techy and all, but it was just the basic courses and all.
Okay.
Trying to get the hang of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I seriously started my preparation during the COVID time. So that was in my second semester, towards the mid half of it. So I started during that time, and that time also I was like very chilled out, kind of still exploring what all my interests were. Very seriously, I started in October 2020. That was in my third semester. So from that time till I guess July, I would sit like 5 to 6 hours. I would try to sit continuously.
Okay.
And finish off, because the thing is, usually when we do a DSA, we slack off, and that happened in my case also. But I had seniors helping me out and everything, so it was helpful in that way.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, so the next thing that I would like to ask, so you said that you used to sit for 5 to 6 hours, and this is something which many students do ask me as well, that okay, if I have to study data structures and algorithms, how many hours do I need to devote daily? And they add something to it, which is how many questions are required to be solved in a day. So what was your strategy while you were preparing yourself for the top tech companies?
Okay, so for me, what I did was, when I was learning each of the DFA topics.
Okay.
So suppose if there was linked list, I would watch the videos on coding blocks, and whatever video that was taught on that day, I would try to solve it on LeetCode the next day.
Okay.
So I would watch the video today, I would code alongside the video, and then the next day I would try attempting a LeetCode question.
Okay. So there is one very common thing which you must have also faced, that when you start practicing on lead code, it's not like that you have set up, let's say 5 or 6 questions that you need to attempt and you are done with it. There are typically easy questions, medium questions, hard questions, as well over there. So how did you manage? Because of course there is lot there. I guess there are approximately 1200 questions of one single topic as well. So how did you manage that particular part? What was your strategy for selecting the questions that you need to practice?
Yeah, so for me, I would go to the tag section and each like when I would dedicate like 1 or 2 weeks to each topic, right? So whenever as long as I would keep watching the videos, I would do 2 or 3 lead code questions side by side. I don't think my practice was that rigorous
Okay.
when I was watching the videos. It was usually like I would try attempting a question, be familiar with it. If I didn't get the answer, I would look at the answer and then mark it there. So later on in my interview prep, when I got serious before the interviews, I could go back to it and learn about it. Yeah.
Okay, so there must be this thing as well. Like just you said that there was some problems which you were not able to solve, and you have to watch the editorial maybe and see the
Right.
solution of those questions. So like, how is it that you managed to, let's say in linked list, or let's say if I'm solving a question of priority queue, it's not just possible that it's using only one data structure in it. It's
Right.
possible that there might be some other data structures which has to be included in it too. So for those data structures, did you used to watch the videos of that particular topic and come back to the question which you are practicing, or you used to, okay, pause, let me just mark it down and I'll try to solve it later when I'll study that topic?
Yeah, I think I would push it further because I did not know what the data structure was, and I wanted to have a sort of mind mapping on as to like which set of data structures I would want to focus on. So if priority queue or maps were included there, I would not go to that data structure, and I would be like, okay, I'll keep it on later on. And I don't think I noted that down also. I think I was just like, okay, let me take it one step at a time. I'll just focus on linked list for now.
Okay.
And once I get the question, but I think mostly like it does get covered again. I mean, the important questions do. And one strategy I focused on was so like I never used to uh, keep on going through the editorials. Like what we used to do is me and my friend used to do it together. So if we would be stuck on a question, we would just send the question to each other, and if he knew the question, he would send the solution back to me. And it wasn't like just the solution; we would get on call and kind of discuss the approach. So I guess that helped in the kind of like solving the questions better.
So this is something which I recommend to other students as well. You cannot have the self motivation to study on your own. You would lag it. So you need to have a friend circle. So they should motivate you. They should ask you to, okay, let's try this question which we are not able to solve yet. So I think that strategy works for you too.
Yeah, it definitely did because at one point, if you don't get a question, you get pretty disheartened, and it's like you don't feel like doing it anymore because you feel like you might not worth it or something.
Yeah.
But that is what worked in my case.
Yeah. So this is something which probably avoid the demotivation part, because if you're not able to solve it, someone is there who can guide you and help you with that particular part as well.
Yeah.
So the most important thing which I think now would be is, see, when the internship or the placement season is near, so of course you get all sort of crazy. You don't know what exactly you need to study, what all things you need to focus on. There are certain things such as non-coding subjects, operating system, computer networks, and DBMS as well. So how much weightage do you think in your interview was given to this particular part and data structures part? And if you have some projects in your resume, do they ask you about those things or not?
Yeah, so for me, I before getting Microsoft, I sat in two other companies, D Shaw and Goldman Sachs.
Okay.
So in all three, D Shaw was completely different. Like the interview procedure is a little different from the rest of the companies, as my friends have also told like about their company experience and all. But for Goldman Sachs and Microsoft, DSA was 80% the weightage, and I don't think they even asked any object-oriented programming,
Okay.
operating systems, or DBMS concepts. It was just DSA, and it was multiple DSA questions in a single interview round. But for D Shaw, they did not ask any DSA question. It was only operating systems, object-oriented programming, and all of that. But the thing is, I don't think I think it depends on the interviewer as well, because after I gave the D Shaw internship hiring thing, I also gave my D Shaw Ascend Educare program for the girls mentorship program. I got selected in that. But in that, they asked DSA questions. They asked simple what would you say? Simple DSA questions.
Or
where
puzzle sort of questions, I would say.
Yeah, puzzle sort of questions, and it's like where you have to think. So like they asked me how does an array how does it get dynamically
Created.
yeah, how does it get dynamically
So
copied in the
theoretical concepts were
memory?
more there, and they were focusing
Mostly.
on the non-coding subjects too.
Yeah, and it was basically like they needed tech enthusiasts more than good coders.
Okay.
So if you're a tech enthusiast, you'll automatically be a good coder, is I think what they thought.
Of
Yeah.
course. So before, like, the 2 months that you must have in before, let's say there might be summer breaks before your Microsoft soft internship. So during that particular time, what exactly the strategy was that you followed, and what exactly you were doing in those 2 months which were there for the internship preparation?
My course, second year and third year, second year during that time was completely online. So we had data structures in that, we had operating systems in that, we had object-oriented programming, and just as everyone knows, how a student studies in the online semester.
Yeah.
That was in my case too. I did not really pay attention to those core subjects much.
Huh.
So at that time, it was mostly like I did not study that. I don't know those concepts, so I had to go through those. And I went through online courses, and I sort of got a vague understanding, because cramming up three important subjects in 2 months is not easy.
Yes.
So I was not able to complete the whole thing, but
Yes.
I had an overview, kind of knew the buzzwords and everything required. So if asked, I could like kind of,
Okay.
I guess, yeah.
So you were focused completely on lead code, or you were revising the concepts that you have studied?
Yeah, so 2 months before the internship interview started, I actually did not do lead code. I did interview bit. So one of my seniors told me that in interview bit, if you complete the whole problem set that they have, it would be very beneficial. And I think that is what helped me, because I would sort of like go through all of the concepts, and I knew that every single question there might be a probable interview question. So I used to note everything down if I didn't get it and all. And right before the interview, so like if I got shortlisted for an interview, I would just go through those notes, go through the video notes I made through the coding block courses, those, and I used to just randomly look at GFG questions.
Okay.
No, not necessarily as as something that I have to get or something. I would just look at the question, kind of see the approach thing, because it would be like brute force, optimized solution, and everything. So that is the way you're supposed to answer in an interview.
Okay.
So I was going through that, and yeah.
Okay, so so during your Microsoft interview process, I'd like to know that what all rounds were there, and what all questions you were asked in each and every round when you were going through the entire process.
Yeah, so we had 3 rounds. We did not know how many rounds there were before
Okay.
getting into it, but
Okay.
in the first round, a person interviewed me. They asked me my personal, they asked me to tell me about myself, and then we went straight away to interview questions. And in each round, they asked me one or two one or two DSA questions.
Okay.
Nothing else. Like they did not ask me OOPS, they did not ask me OS, they didn't ask me anything else. But they asked me in the first round. They asked me to find out whether the given tree is a BSc or not.
Okay.
And that is a very basic question. But then you are supposed to feel like you don't know the question, so you would go from the brute force to the optimal solution. So I did the same. And then once I told the approach of the optimal solution, they asked me to code it on a platform where both the interviewer and the interviewee can kind of collaborate and code.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a working code. It was basically like just a function or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, they gave me that, and it was basically like brainstorming more than actually, it wasn't like a question answer very straightforward. The interviewers were very friendly, and they would kind of give hints if some question was not there. So in my first round, the questions were if the given tree is a BSC or not, and longest unique substring.
Longest
Unique substring.
unique substring. Okay.
Yeah. And after that, I got I was promoted to the second round. So in the second round, also there were two BSc questions. In that, there was the kth largest number in the BSc, and the smallest number given by a number's multiplied word. So I'll give you an example. So if there's a number, say 100, the smallest number would be 455, because 4 into 5 into 5 makes 100. So that is the smallest number that
Okay.
is possible to make that number.
All right. All right.
Yeah. And after that, I got my third round, and every round was approximately for 45 to 1 hour 15 minutes, about that time frame. It depends on how much time you take to explain the question, and it's better to kind of steadily explain your approach rather than rushing it up in the first 10 minutes, because you'll be exposed to more questions
Yeah.
where you might stutter or
So you
something.
need to act
Uh,
smart in the interview. You need to tell the brute force. Then they would ask you, okay, how can you improve it? Then you would be discussing the same question and again.
Exactly. You might have done the question thousands of times, but you have to look at the question as if you're doing it for the first time.
Okay.
And in my third round, this round was a little bit of a HR round, but it was also a DSA round. So in this round, the interviewer asked me about myself, and he asked me about my project. And at that time, I was undergoing a research internship in university itself. So he asked me to explain what I was doing in that research internship, what the whole topic was about, because in my resume, that was the only part that would actually stand out, I guess. I mean, it was very different. It was based on deepfake detection. So that was kind of something that was not there,
Okay.
that you would not see, or something like that. So he asked me about it. He asked me to explain about it and what I would do about it, because it was very new to him also. So we took some 15-20 minutes explaining about that and kind of going through my resume as a whole. But that was the main focus he actually focused on. But yeah. And also there was another DSA question. In that, he
Okay.
asked me the next largest number in the given number.
Okay.
So for this question gave me such happiness because the reason being is, in the Goldman Sachs interview,
Yeah.
in my I only went through the first round and I was not qualified for the second round.
Okay.
But in my first round, I had the same exact question, and they asked, and the next day was my Microsoft interview.
Okay.
So the next day they asked me this question.
Okay.
So very happy looking at the question, because I had gone through it right after my interview,
Yeah.
and I knew the brute force, I knew the optimal solution, I knew everything, and I was like, I am gonna ace this. So I gave it with such confidence, because I had very recently referred to it. So yeah, and that was my third round,
So-
and after that I got
So,
accepted.
just to be honest, like, you did the coding blocks course, which was there, and you set for these interviews. How much do you think the questions were overlapping? Because the questions that you said, I think we all discussed those questions in the classroom itself. So tell your honest views, like, if someone did just the coding blocks course and nothing, so how much are the chances for them to clear this particular process like you did?
They would see out of like the 5 questions they asked me, 4 of the questions are something I remember from coding blocks, and I can till date like know how he explained Pradeep sir explained it on board also. But yeah, I guess it would be enough if someone goes through that coding blocks course very very religiously. It would
Yeah.
probably be very beneficial, and probably looking at new questions. Like basically, it's not just the course that is important. It's basically the approach you look at it. So if you encounter some new question, how would you react to it is
Yeah.
probably what's more essential in an interview, because you'll already be very panicked and all, and
Yeah.
it's probably that. Yeah.
So there's one thing which many students struggle with is they tend to go to the, let's say, any YouTube channel or probably some random resources, and they try to put in a lot of projects in their resume, assuming that okay, if we don't have any projects we won't be getting selected for the process. So what are your views, because you have seen your friends going through the interview as well, and you went yourself and you got selected as well. So what do you think, should the student add projects of web development into their resume which they have no idea about whatsoever, and they just have to show it to their interviewer that okay, this is something which I have done, please look into this?
See, honestly, I know my friends who have just like simple tic-tac-toe game programs and all of that listed in their resume, and still they got selected. I don't think it's. I mean, you have to have some sort of experience, but even now, even as I'm undergoing my internship, I don't think they actually require such high level of expertise. They just want you to be curious in whatever you're doing. So if that reflects on your resume, that would be enough. Maybe like the projects, the code along project is something that would kind of make you familiar with the concepts if you're interested in dev or ML or app dev or something like that. Whatever your interest is, maybe if you have a few code along projects in that, I think that would be enough. As long as you know what's going on in the code, rather
Okay.
than just adding some project that you don't know anything
Yeah,
about.
that's actually really important. In case you don't have any idea about the project and you have just copied it from somewhere, they would probably ask you one single question and they would straight away say that this is something which you have copied, and we know it, right? So because students
Exactly,
thinks
exactly.
they are quite smart about it and they can actually fool the interviewer, which is quite tough. It's not that easy to fool someone if you are going for an interview process.
Right, right, exactly.
So, just the last question. Any advice that you would like to give to your juniors or someone who is looking for getting into the top tech companies such as Microsoft or any Goldman or D-Shaw? Any last advice that you would give them?
Honestly, for me, I probably was going through the same thing you're going through. Looking at success stories and all of that, it's honestly not as rosy as it sounds. Luck plays a factor and hard work does too. So I guess just keep on working, and you'll get there. If not this, something else, but there is an opportunity waiting for you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sahithi, for joining us today, and congratulations again for cracking the Microsoft interview. Hopefully, the next target would be Google for you. And thank you so much for taking out time for the students and guiding them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Karthik.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, bye bye. Take care, and we'll meet soon again with some other success story where you would probably get to know about more things that you can do for the preparation as well.